Well, hello, everyone. This is Mike DeBoer with the Franchise Business Podcast, and I am excited to have Judy Davidson join me today. So, Judy, first of all, I know we've been trying to get this scheduled together, so I'm glad we could amongst our busy schedules. So, I suppose I'll let you introduce yourself, kind of let people know who you are and what you do for people that are kind of looking at getting into business for themselves.
Thank you for having me, Mike. Yes, it's nice to finally get this on the books.
Yes.
I appreciate you and your time. And so I've been a franchise consultant for 20 years.
Wow.
I started when my son was in kindergarten.
Okay.
And he's now 25.
Sure.
So he's grown up in the business.
Right.
And I started actually a year after my husband passed away. And my role as a franchise consultant is very similar to what a lot of the candidates that I work with. It's allowed me the freedom and flexibility to work my kid around my clients and my clients around my kid. Right. So I didn't miss anything as a single parent. I was there for all the plays and parties and practices. A lot of those conversations with clients might have been happening in school parking lots or on the sideline of soccer practice,
Right.
but I was able to, juggle all the balls, and it created a great quality of life for my son and I.
Yeah.
And I love helping people. And at the heart of it, I think most people, at least most of the candidates that I help, that I talk with, want a business to help people. That feels good. It feels good when I'm able to get to know someone better and take this journey with them and help them achieve their dream.
Right.
I also recently started volunteering for Make-A-Wish organization.
Very cool.
So I get to help, create dreams for adults and fulfill wishes for kids, and
I like that. That's very good. It's symbiotic, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah. So I get to know people better personally. This all happens in my first 15-minute intro call. After doing this for 20 years, I kind of know, what's going to make someone tick, if you will.
Right.
I like to get to know them better personally.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on. You married with kids? Where are you from? Hobbies? Because it really is at the heart of it all about relationships. And then I dovetail into, tell me about your business background. What's going on at work? A lot of people, either they're laid off or, they're mad as hell and they don't want to take it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Frustrated with their boss. There's a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Going through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also no longer want to put their eggs in the corporate basket, which is, back in the day, our parents, they stayed at General Motors for 40 years and got the golden watch. Well, that's not the case anymore. Right. So there's really no security in corporate America. There certainly is no security in the stock market, although it's up today. Woohoo!
It is. I saw that. I'm happy about my how it looks, but yeah, it goes up and down. It causes stress.
My Meta stock is still down about 100 a share, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
But so people are looking for security. They know they can't count on corporate America or the stock market. They know they can count on themselves. So they're looking for more security in that way. So get to know them better professionally. Do they want to do something in the same industry, that matches their skill set, or do they want to do something completely different? You don't have to go back to school to own a great franchise. Yeah. It really cuts down the time and the learning curve in getting people up and running into profitability a lot more quickly than they could on their own.
Yeah.
And then we'll build a financial formula that makes sense for them as far as their investment comfort levels and their financing options and their income needs and goals. And so this is a very high level first conversation. And then after they fill out their confidential questionnaire, we'll set up a Zoom call and then we'll do a deeper dive on everything. And we'll cover their thoughts and feelings on sales and business development, managing employees. What days and hours do they have to devote to the business? Is this going to be full-time owner operator, or what we call semi-absentee, which still takes, I'd say on average, at least 20 hours a week? There's no completely absentee business. That's a misconception.
Yes.
Even the stock market, you still have to check it every once in a while.
For sure, adjust it if you need to, right?
Yeah, exactly. In real estate, there's still a lot of work, if you have tenants, in your real estate, etc. So I'm sorry, did I get off?
No, I mean, I guess, Judy, I mean, so that's what you're kind of helping your clients with. And we were actually talking before, we started kind of the formal interview about, I think a lot of people think, hey, I can buy a franchise on the internet, right? I'll Google and I'll find the right choice, and it'll be the right fit for me. And I think that speaks to, and I'll let you talk about where you come in, because you really need to learn about yourself and your dreams and aspirations to decide what's the right fit. And then there's a lot of franchise models out there. Not all of them are the right fit for any given person, right? So you're really in that process.
By the time I connect with most people, they've already spent dozens of hours on the internet, and they're more confused than ever.
Sure.
Because there are about 3,000 franchises out there.
Yeah.
So to go through the information can be overwhelming and confusing. And a lot of people have chased after the hot trend. The latest donut or milkshake or, cookie, cookie craze, only to find out it's outside of their investment comfort levels. When I first started, I'd have to say 15 plus years ago, everyone I talked to wanted a Subway. So they're popping up on every street corner until we talked about the investment. They're like, no, I don't have $500,000 to invest, versus the hours and managing dozens of minimum wage employees and the low profit margins. They're like, no way. So I'm like, okay, let's start with a blank slate and open mind. Let's build a financial formula and a business formula that makes sense for you, kind of reverse engineering it. Sure. Let's build what your ideal business looks like first. We're building the foundation from the ground up. And then of the 3,000 options out there, we've identified about 300 A+ gold standard franchises with happy owners that are having fun and making money and would do it again and would recommend it to a friend. And so after we define their criteria, I'll do my research, come back with 3 best of the best that meet their criteria and that are available in their marketplace, and then guide them through the entire due diligence process, which is required in order to be awarded a franchise.
Right.
So you can't just buy a franchise off the internet.
And it's a relationship that's built over time, right?
Absolutely. You said it perfectly, Mike. It's a lot of people really don't understand or value that, because we all want to work with people that we know and like and trust.
Of course.
And at Schooley Mitchell, you have a particular set of skills that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes back to the checks and balances in franchising with the item 19 and the FDD. Franchisors want those numbers to continue to go up year over year. So you want to make sure that you're placing the best candidates, not only that can meet your current revenue goals, but continue to exceed year over year, so that arrow continues to point upward, so you can attract more franchisees, and winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, 100%. The franchisor, arguably wants the franchisee to be more successful than they themselves want to be, right? Because the numbers improve and it helps the whole system. And royalties are nice for the franchisor, and they care about those. It really is a win-win relationship when you find the right franchise or franchisee fit.
Oh my gosh! And Peter Palumbo,
yes, on that note,
recent placement with Schooley Mitchell was a perfect example of that. Yeah. After I got to know him, as a matter of fact, I had originally worked with him 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And he had selected a different franchise that he had already started the process with
Right.
before he and I met.
Yeah.
He went ahead with that franchise. It didn't work out to his satisfaction, which happens. It still happens. I mean, there's a very high success rate with franchising,
Sure.
but he had a unique situation with the neighboring franchise.
Okay.
And so he just decided to sell to that franchisee rather than continue to bang his head against the wall.
Right.
And so
Fair.
then he went back to corporate America and then got laid off and then re-engaged with me because when he reached out, I was like, this name's familiar.
Yeah. A
And
blast
so
from the past a little bit.
I looked him up on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh my gosh, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
after 10, I'm glad he remembered me. And he was rocking and rolling, ready to go. He was the perfect A+ Gold Star candidate.
Yeah.
And after doing this as long as I have, I had a gut feeling that Schoolie Mitchell was the best. But still, I'm giving him other great options for him to compare and contrast.
Right.
To make sure the decision, is best for him.
Of course. Yeah.
And it was. He's tied into his community. He loves sales, business development, relationship building, networking, BNI, Chamber of Commerce. He's in his previous life, he was on the radio.
Oh, wow.
He attends every single event practically in the small town of Yuma, Arizona.
Right.
And so his unique challenge was that he needed something that he could work with people all over the country.
Right.
Not just in his small town.
Sure.
And so Schoolie Mitchell was the best fit.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to have Peter on board, and I know he's already a favorite with the training team and all of our support staff, Judy. And so thank you for introducing him to us. And again, you helped him through that journey, and you're really a great asset for people that are going through that process. And on that note, any other success stories that you kind of wanted to share? Because you've been doing this for a little while, and you've had a lot of great people that have got into great businesses. Or any other stories you wanted to share?
Yeah, several, of course.
Yeah.
But before, I just wanted to add with Peter what I liked about it, because when I am working with a candidate, like I'm on Team Peter. Right. So he knew he could call me, text me, email me at any time, and he did. He took me up on my offer. A lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't want to bother you. We talked at least a couple times a day, and then toward the end when he was closing, not a day, a couple times a week, then he was closer to making a decision. It was a couple times a day and texting, and just, it's because I am honored to be part of one of the biggest decisions that people are going to make. Right. And so it really is all about relationships.
Yeah. For sure.
And so getting back to success stories. There were a couple candidates that I helped place in senior care.
Okay.
Companion caregiving franchises. Yep. George and Jan Strickland. I actually met them at a church business networking event.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And he had a background as a GM for Jack in the Box.
Okay.
And he only wanted restaurant franchises. But Jan was a nurse. So I was like, okay, George, I'll give you a couple restaurants, even though they're your highest level of investment with your lowest profit margin and your poorest quality of life. Okay, George, I'll play. And then he went away and was interested primarily in Chick-fil-A. And then he got turned down by Chick-fil-A and came back to me. And I said, okay, are we ready to have a blank slate?
So what do you need?
Sorry? You're frozen. Your camera is frozen, but I see we're still recording. So should I continue to speak? But I can't hear you. Should we just wrap it up? Hello, Mike. Hello. Hello, Mike.
Hi, that was bizarre. I don't know what happened there. So
It was still recording, but you were frozen.
okay,
And then
so
it
I'm
couldn't hear
back.
you.
Yeah, I don't know. It froze and then it went black and then it refreshed. So I don't know.
And now here we are at 16 minutes. Do you
know.
want I guess a good cutting point, editing point would be tell me about some success stories.
Yes,
So,
yeah, we'll start there. So I'll re-ask the question and then we'll do that. So Judy, you've been doing this, as you said earlier, for a little while. So I'm sure you have some great success stories to share. So if you just wanted to kind of talk about a couple of them, I think the audience would be interested to hear.
Sure. 2 or 3 come to the top of my mind. George and Jan, I had actually met them at a church networking function, and they were originally only interested in food franchises. He was GM at Jack in the Box, but she was a nurse. I was like, okay, George,
Yeah,
I'll give you a couple food franchises, even though they're your highest level of investment, lowest profit margin, and poorest quality. Well, okay, I'll
at
play.
least let's look.
But I'm also going to give a medically oriented franchise for Jan's background.
Right.
Long story short, they went away, got turned down by Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
They came back. They were awarded a senior care franchise, owned it for 9 years, I believe.
Wow.
Made really good income while they were in it and ended up selling it for 6 figures.
That's pretty
7
cool.
figures. Sorry, 7 figures.
Even better.
Yes. And then retired to Florida, near where their daughter and grandchildren are at.
Right.
Richard Snuffer is another senior care franchise. He and his wife ran it, made really nice salaries. I think he owned it maybe 7 years and sold his franchise for a very nice profit in the high 6 figures.
Right.
Jeff Spencer was a retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Air Force. And he started with 1 fitness franchise location and grew it to 6. His own little mini empire of 6.
Cool. That's a nice growth trajectory.
Yeah, exactly. So and they were people that I consider friends still today because like I said, I really get to know people better.
Right.
Almost like a family member.
Yeah.
While we're going through this process, and I keep in touch with them afterwards.
Awesome.
Too.
I'm sure that's very rewarding for you to see, these people achieve their dreams and, build something really special for themselves and their family and a legacy, I think, at the end of the day that you've helped them build, right?
Exactly. Right. Legacy is key. Yeah, because Jeff's son, who at the time was in college, is part of the business now, too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Passes down the generations.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. So, Judy, thank you for sharing because I think that inspires people, right? That there's folks. I think for everyone, there's someone just like them with their same circumstance that has gone on to do something great in this world of franchising. So those are inspirational stories to share. In terms of misconceptions, I'm sure you've run into a lot of them. I think people have misconceptions about maybe just business ownership or franchising specifically. So what are some of the things you run into the most commonly, and then how do you help people overcome those ways of thinking?
Yeah, well, I think we touched on it already, that most people think they can just buy a franchise off the internet. And we are here to tell you it really truly is a relationship.
Right.
Because the franchisor has a vested interest in the candidate
Yeah.
to make sure they're up and running into profitability. You have a legal fiduciary responsibility to the franchisee, and the franchisee is also looking for the best business to partner with as well.
Right.
So it really, I know franchises like Schoolie Mitchell, you're looking for people that are a good fit for the family.
Yes.
You want to make sure you can, ride out the good times and the not so good times. And, do you want to share a beer together and just
Exactly.
hang out,
Right.
just be,
It's
just
at least a 10-year relationship, right? So you want to get along and like each other.
Yeah, exactly. And another misconception is, I think financially, a lot of people think, oh gosh, I don't have $500,000, so I can't buy a franchise. Franchises, the three basic categories are 50 to 75,000, and that's where Schoolie Mitchell falls. Those are primarily home-based owner-operators in the service industry.
Right.
Second category, which is the largest category of all the franchises out there, is essential services. Generally 150,000. Some can be run from a home office, so you're saving a lot of time and overhead.
Right.
And some do require a small office or warehouse if there's equipment or inventory involved. Essential services do well in all economies, just as Schoolie Mitchell does. You save corporations money. I mean, who wouldn't be interested in that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, recession proof, right? Which is important for people.
Yes,
Yeah.
recession proof. And then by far, again, the highest investment is a brick and mortar business. Food, restaurant, retail, etc.
Right.
You're looking at in general 350,000 plus about a year to get the doors open. Right. Of one of those. But those are great for multi-unit ownership.
Yes.
And really, really good for semi-absentee. Because even if someone wants to keep the security of their job, they have a GM in place. So they're managing effectively not only the KPIs of the business, but one person who's managing the daily operation.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I think the point being models for every budget and the models for every, type of business person, what they want to scale and build. And I think, right, it's good for people to know that so they're not kind of siphoned into one way of thinking or one stereotype of what a franchise.
Yeah. It's not one size fits all. Right. And, I take a very deep dive into, the candidates that I work with to make sure that we find the best fit for them personally, professionally, financially, that's available in their marketplace and meets all of their criteria.
Right. Absolutely.
And it kind of reverse engineering it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Judy, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you wanted to say to someone that's maybe listening about how you can help them or this process of thinking about getting into business ownership?
Let's just have a quick call, 15-minute intro. Our services are free. So, I would have to say taking the first step for anything in life is always the biggest and scariest.
Right.
So after you start, then things seem to get easier and easier.
Right.
As you're building on information week over week. And so that at the end of the process, I like to get candidates to get used to making decisions because they think at the end, oh my gosh, it's going to be so big and scary and overwhelming. But if you're making decisions, little decisions every week, did I learn a lot? Right. Does it make sense? Do I want to learn more? Do I want to take the next step? Did you learn from validating with other franchisees who have already, who have paved the way for you, who are, a couple years ahead of you? And so at the end, by making small decisions along the way, it should be winner, winner, chicken dinner. The franchisor is offering an agreement, and if you're at the altar and you're offering an engagement, if you will, a proposal, and they should accept and
Success comes from that, right? Yeah, and success comes. That's the important.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, Judy. Well, I appreciate it, and yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's there's no harm in at least thinking about it and looking at it and using someone like you to help guide them through that journey. Whether they decide I want to do it or not, at least they thought about it and did their due diligence, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you never know unless you try.
Exactly, 100%. I have a 1-year-old, and I tell him that about his food. Try everything, and you'll like
Oh, cute. And I think I heard a dog in the background too.
There's dogs. Yes, they bark. They're all day. We live by a school. Kids walk by because it's the end of the school day. They bark. That's my life.
Dogs and babies.
Exactly.
There's a lot of franchises for those too.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. Yeah. So if you want to learn more, talk to Judy. There. Okay, Judy. Well, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I think a ton of great insights for people to get out of this from you. And again, I definitely can attest to the fact that, like Judy helped Peter learn more about our model and decide to join us, she's a great asset to everyone she works with. So get in touch if you're interested in learning more.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.